And how about your mental health? You mentioned that closer to your cycle, closer to certain parts of your cycle, that you do uh, face depressive symptoms. How have you been managing that?
That's a good question. I think what you mentioned earlier in this question kind of brings into the fact that women and people who menstruate are used to this societal norm and pressure that we have to solve our own problems and then solve other people's problems. And I thought that that's something significant that I should point out. And my answer is going to be related to um, what was the question again? Sorry.
No, I just I just wanted to know how you managed or possibly tried to treat your mental health problems that might have been a symptom of your
Oh, yeah.
cycle. And but you did make a good point, and I you can kind of tie that into your answer.
Yeah, so talking about, being self-imposing responsibility of our own health on ourselves. With mental health, I practice a lot of self-compassion, and that's something that I learned recently and lately, that rather than trying to resist and trying to tell myself that, oh no, I'm better than that, I can just toxic positivity my way through this phase, to really practice being kind to myself and say that, this is a part of what having this body encompasses, and that the thoughts will pass. And while the temptation can be really high to take action based on those emotions that I have, that it's not going to be sustainable in the long term. And so tying back that to what I mentioned earlier about, again, societal pressure, is that I figured this out on my own. And this has been more than a decade ever since I started menstruating. And um, I also wanted to point out that part of my reading, I've also realized that a lot of science and medical research is being, for the lack of a better word, corrupted by sponsorship. Like when scientists or doctors need to do research, they need sponsorships to kind of have that funding, right, to do their research. And because of how the system is set up for research, many scientists, rather than replicating experiments so that to ensure that they're valid, they just come up with like appealing sentences and appealing sciences to push pharmaceutical agenda. And how that links to my health challenge is that there's not a lot of studies done on menstruation, on cramps, on the menstruation cycle or the menstrual cycle. And I wish more attention would have been paid to that. I want to bring in this example of contraception methods. There's so many contraception methods that focuses on prohibiting the women's body to ovulate and to prohibit our menstrual cycles, like natural menstrual cycles. That is very strange, because I remember there was actually a male version of birth control that was being tested in India, and they all reported symptoms of the same symptoms that women face when they take birth control pills. And because of the patriarchy globally, that the birth control pill didn't get released and didn't get launched, simply because men didn't want to take, or people who don't menstruate don't want to take birth control pills that affect their bodily function. And thinking back about and taking that and relating it with how medical research is done and also my own health challenge, it's just a lot of correlation that people don't realize, that women research on women's bodies are not done extensively, simply because of the profitability and the patriarchy that kind of prevents that from happening. And we need to advocate against that. We need to start advocating for our own bodies and our own stories. And Yeah.